You know the vibes. Another episode. The Hoop Genius podcast returns, sponsored by NBA 2K23. Make sure you hit the link in the description right now to get your copy pre-ordered, NBA 2K23. And on NBA 2K23, I'm joined by BJ Armstrong, of course, as always. But on 2K23, which team will Kevin Durant be playing for? That's the question on everyone's lips. When the game comes out, which roster will KD be on? Because I damn sure hope it ain't the Boston Celtics.
Okay. Good morning to you, Mo. Good
BJ,
morning.
nice and early here in LA. How was your weekend?
Oh, fabulous. You know, hey, you know the vibes.
Now,
yeah.
I'm gonna shamelessly say that I don't want Kevin Durant on the Boston Celtics, and then when he comes and we start winning games, I'm just gonna pretend I never said that. Just gonna let you guys know from now, okay?
Okay.
Here's the deal. I've just woken BJ up nice and early. Obviously, it's a little bit later in the day, this episode. Usually these episodes come out first thing in the morning UK time, but it's a bit later in the day today. Because we got to talk about this. Breaking news overnight. It was a weird time this news story came out, BJ. 2:30 in the morning US time. The Adrian Wojnarowski, your good friend, reported that Kevin Durant might be on his way to the Boston Celtics as the Celtics and Nets are locked into trade discussions. This was then followed by Shams Charania reporting that the Celtics had offered Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and a draft pick to the Nets, who said that that's not enough. We want that plus Marcus Smart, another rotational piece, and more draft picks. I feel like Danny Ainge has once again screwed over the Brooklyn Nets because the return he got for Rudy Gobert was so much. Now the Nets are expecting so much, and I don't think a lot of teams are willing to give that up at this stage of the offseason. But what's your initial reaction, BJ?
Great, they're talking. Like every team's talking. Is this the one? Hey, Mo, is this the one that's gonna get the headlines?
Let's get today's headlines.
Mo, everyone's talking. Hey, Mo, it's like suddenly out of all the calls that I had yesterday or the day before, I'm just gonna only talk about the one. Every team's talking. Well, that's their job. So my initial thought is Kevin Durant has made it clear the day before the draft, right, which put everyone into a frenzy, that he wants to be traded. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that he said that one of two things happened. Either there's no communication with the Brooklyn Nets, which it doesn't sound like that's not the case, or Kevin Durant's team and the rest of the league put a package together, and we'll figure out which package is available, and then we'll choose the one, talking about Brooklyn, that we like best. Now, the fact that they counter that means you have my interest. And every team in the league, I can assure you this, every team in the league is trying to figure out how to do the following: how to acquire a disgruntled star.
Yes.
That's what we know. So let's see which one of these deals are going to come up that's going to fit them. Now, he said initially he wanted to go to one of two places: Phoenix or Miami. And now they're open for business. So let's see.
It is worth noting that when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors in 2016, the second team on his list after the Warriors was the Boston Celtics. I don't know if you remember when the Celtics went to meet him in the Hamptons. There's a pretty funny picture I tweeted out earlier. The Warriors, they sent Steph and Clay and Draymond to go and woo Kevin Durant into joining them. The Celtics sent Tom Brady, Marcus Smart, and Kelly Olynyk to convince Kevin Durant to sign with Boston. So it would be pretty funny.
How'd that meeting go?
He signed with Golden State.
Oh, okay.
So here's my thing with this. I've got some conspiracy theories with this, BJ. I have some conspiracy theories. First of all, Jaylen Brown's name is just always in trade talks. Do you remember a year ago where they were always talking about, Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons? Jaylen Brown has been linked in trade talks for Ben Simmons in the Philadelphia 76ers. Goes blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. They were talking about we got to trade Jaylen Brown. He can't play with Jason Tatum. This team got to the NBA Finals. Why would you be looking to break up a young core that got to the NBA Finals? Jaylen Brown's a player you drafted who you have an advantage of retaining his talent so you can contend for the next 5 to 10 years in the NBA. Now, the reason why earlier I mentioned to you it was an interesting time for a news story to break was because that's 2:30 in the morning. Now, BJ, you know Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's up late, wheeling and dealing on a Sunday night. But do you know what else is at 2:30?
Maybe that's his advantage. Maybe that's his advantage.
But I'll tell you what, do you know what else is at 2:30 in the morning US time?
What's that?
Early evening in New Zealand. BJ, who's from New Zealand? Who's on holiday in New Zealand? The New Zealander that is the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks. So it would make sense for him to be conducting his business around 6 p.m. New Zealand time. That's a lot more realistic than little old Brad Stevens being up, wheeling and dealing in the early hours. But anyway, when I first saw it,
why would Sean Marks be in New Zealand right now?
Because it's the summer. He's been seeing his family. Ask him.
Okay,
Text him.
Mo,
ask him.
When you become an executive, here, Mo, you know, you don't get the summers off like the players. This is a year-round business. You and I right now it's late July, summer league's over. The business never stops.
BJ, when I said I had conspiracy
for him to go
theories,
to holiday, for him to go on
conspiracies
holiday,
for a reason.
I know. Well, okay. Well, I just want to make sure that when you're sending out your conspiracy tweets and your conspiracy, that you just bypass me, and then I'll just look and go, "Oh, that's interesting," because
they're cool conspiracies for a reason.
Oh,
we just got to have some fun with it at this point. So anyway.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, my initial thoughts when I saw this was, okay, cool. Brooklyn is trying to leverage another deal with another team by throwing in Boston's name with it. Maybe you're talking to Toronto, Miami, Phoenix, whoever you're actually talking to, and you want to try and leverage them, right? That's what the media is for. A little bit of smoke and mirrors, apply pressure to other teams. But then I was thinking about this, and there was a New England Patriots player. What's his name? Let me try to find his name. Let me try to find his name right now. Jermaine Wiggins. Do you know who this is? Former Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, Jermaine Wiggins. For some reason, came out and said that he saw Jaylen Brown in the Hamptons and was given the idea that Jaylen won't re-sign with the Boston Celtics in 2024 because he wants to be the top dog on a team. So if that is the case, or he's privately requested a trade from Boston or made it clear that he won't stick around there, then maybe that is why they're having these discussions, and getting Kevin Durant in return would be great. But what you don't want to do, as we've discussed numerous times on the show, is decimate the depth of your squad for an often injured superstar. Otherwise, you may end up just like the Los Angeles Lakers, who didn't even make the playoffs. Because Kevin Durant, in the past 3 seasons, has played 90 out of the 226 regular season games that were available for him to play in. Now, you want to trade a 24, 25-year-old all-star caliber player who's just been your best player in the NBA Finals for a guy turning 34 who's played about 30% of games that he could have played in the past 3 years? That wouldn't be my idea. But Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers to ever live. Apparently he can score over anyone, can shoot over anyone, except for when it's the first round of the playoffs and he's getting swept away by the Boston Celtics. So it makes no sense to me.
Well, I'm going to be kind, Mo, and say this. I think this makes all the sense in the world. We know that he wants to be traded.
Yes. It makes sense for who, sorry? For Kevin Durant, for Brooklyn?
For Kevin Durant, it makes sense for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
This makes sense for the Celtics. This makes sense for the Celtics. Here's why. When you have a team and you are trading, when you have a team and you're looking out there at the horizon, you have a window of an opportunity, right? You know, you look at the Celtics right now, all their fan base want to say, look how young we are. We're going back to the finals now every year. We're just going to get better. That's not the case. Okay. You have an opportunity to upgrade your talent. Make no doubt about it. Kevin Durant right now, okay? Kevin Durant right now is above, in my opinion. I mean, some people may argue, and I can understand the argument, but he is better right now. He's an upgrade talent over Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Okay, that's just my opinion. I think both of those guys, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, with their age, so forth and so on, you can make the talent. But as of right now, I'm not saying maybe that's not the case even next year. But as of right now, Kevin Durant is in the top 2 or 3 in everybody's list in the NBA currently as is. And if you're not trying to upgrade your talent, then you're not doing your job. So this deal, maybe it's been stretched a little bit. Maybe it was just a conversation. But let me assure you, this conversation needed to be had. And if you're not having that conversation, then you're not doing your job. Every team in the league right now is trying to put together a package for Kevin Durant. And now it's up for everyone to figure out what is the best package that you can put together. And it's important for Brooklyn to be open for business. They not have one guy that wants out. They have 2 guys. You know, Kyrie wants out as well. So how are they going to know which deal they want to do if they choose to do a deal, if they're not talking to every team and trying every scenario? So if I'm Boston, of course I'm going to inquire. Of course. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I'm going to inquire, because if you can acquire Kevin Durant and maintain your core group, and I have to believe, without talking to Brad Stevens, I have to believe that Marcus Smart is in that core. He was Defensive Player of the Year last year. So I have to believe, just from the outside, that Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum are the core 3 guys. And then you build around from there. If they have to give up one of those guys to add Kevin Durant, I think that's a win for the Celtics. Even though I don't want to give up Smart, I don't want to give up. I wouldn't
give it up
Jason
one,
Tatum.
not Brown and Smart.
Yes. And if I'm Brooklyn, I want to give up 2. Why? Because we're in the same conference. You're trying to dismantle their team because you're giving up whoever. When Sean Marks trades Kevin Durant, he's going to lose the trade because Kevin Durant is the best player in the trade. So if he can get multiple players in your core or multiple picks, all of us, experts will say, well, he got a lot back. Now, everyone is comparing the trade what Danny Ainge got back. But truthfully speaking, those picks mean nothing. You still got to draft, and there has to still be players there. Just because you have a first-round pick, what are you going to do with it? You got to draft that pick. You got to develop that pick. You got to put together the team. All right, great. You got 100 first-round picks. Just give me Michael Jordan. Just give me Shaq, and then I'll see you later. You got 100 picks. So what we've done is we've created value to something that's not there. It's like the boogeyman. You still have to draft, and you have to draft well. So in saying that, I understand why Minnesota did that. Why? It's because they are in a position financially as a small market team, and they want to win now. And it just worked for that team. You got to find the deal that works for you. A deal doesn't apply to every team in the league. The New York Knicks just because they did something doesn't mean it's going to apply to the New Orleans Pelicans. You have to find the deal that works for you. Danny Ainge wants picks. Why? Because our fan base has been sold that picks mean something.
And Minnesota
And
now.
every executive knows. Next year, I guarantee you they're going to say, oh, man, with the exception of that one kid, right? That one kid, everyone likes him, right? In the draft, the kid the big kid from France. Okay, with the exception of him,
there's Scoot Henderson as well.
Everyone's going to say, "Oh man, it's going to say." You're going to hear terms like this. It's top heavy. Translation: there's only one player we think is going to be a star. The rest of them, and then afterwards, we're going to say, and then if a guy emerges as a star and becomes a Jokic or something, we're going to be like, "Oh, we really had him high on our draft board. We had this guy number right behind the top guy." Every executive is going to say that. But at the beginning of it, next year, this time, Mo, you and I are going to be doing this podcast, and they're going to say, oh, the draft, it's a top-heavy draft. Because we always want to sell to our fan base, we're giving you a star. And if this guy doesn't emerge, we're going to say, see, I told you, it was a top-heavy draft. But next year's draft, it's going to have depth. Where's the depth? Because, Bo, we know every draft, there's only going to be 3 to 5 of those guys who are going to emerge.
Well,
we know.
I trust Danny Ainge making those draft picks a lot more than the Brooklyn Nets front office at this point. I don't trust the Brooklyn Nets front office with much, considering they traded all their draft assets to get James Harden, who then left, and now they're trying to trade their current stars for draft assets.
Yeah, but you got to understand this.
So
you got to understand. But Mo, can we just say this? And I know you're just trolling the Nets right now. Well, your star players say this is what they want to do. Okay. And one day you're going to be sitting in the seat, and I'm still going to be doing the podcast. And you're going to be the first guy I'll have the courage to troll, because I'll know Mo didn't really want to do that deal, but because he has to do the deal for his star player, he's going to do the deal.
We had a conversation, BJ. You and I, we had this conversation when we were doing a heat check show when they first signed, right? And you said that you have to do what superstars want. And I said, I don't care how bad my superstars want it. I'm not giving. What was DeAndre Jordan's contract with Brooklyn?
I don't know, but
okay.
But Mo, I do know you won't be the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. Okay. Hey, listen. Okay, but I'm just saying, when you listen to the superstars and give them what they want,
well, that's the era we live in.
This is how things end up. You give LeBron what he wants, miss the playoffs. Give KD what he wants, crumbled instantly. Okay, give the players what they want. That's cool. Or give me a superstar like Giannis, who's like, listen, I'm here, I'm gonna do my job.
Bo,
you help me.
Here's the difference.
That's what I want.
Here's the difference, Bo. Here's the difference. What you said. We talk about constructing a team. You can't have it both ways. When you acquire a player via free agency, you leverage your franchise for that player now. Doesn't matter 2 or 3 years. You're talking about the draft now. You're talking about building a team. You get LeBron James and suddenly I'm going to go, hey, LeBron, I got to get back to the draft right now and start building a team. That's not how this works.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, Mo, that's what you said. If you don't put the best team you can put in front of that player now, you're living right here, right now. What's the best move for you to do right now? It's not the draft.
I didn't say the draft was irrelevant to what I was saying.
Okay, so
you're talking about giving the superstars what they want. And I'm saying, well, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets as a team, they would have played out a lot better if they didn't do that James Harden deal. Do you not think the Brooklyn Nets would be better if they had Jarrett Allen at the 5, or they had Karis LeVert coming off their bench rather than 6 months of James Harden?
Okay. Maybe in this new era and a new way of thinking, in the era in which I've learned this game, which it's going to be here 5 years from now, you always acquire talent
at the cost of depth.
You need, okay, there's two things. You need talent and you need depth. And when you have talent and your team has depth, you have an opportunity and a chance to win. Sometimes you have to acquire the talent and then figure out how to build around it on the fly and figure out what Brooklyn was. They took a risk. They gambled and it didn't pay off. However, when you look at the team as it was constructed, you're almost forced to do that. I can't be mad at Sean Marks, at least from my point of view. Sean Marks did what they clearly, they had some input on what they were going to do. Clearly. And I don't think those guys came there with the idea of saying the following. They came there and constructed a team. They didn't come there and was a part of a team. They came there and rebuilt the entire team around those two guys. That's a fact. And Mo, once you make that deal, you got to do the deal. Now, here's the thing. If those two players, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, let's say you don't do the deal, Mo. Okay, that's fine. You said, no, I'm not doing that deal. What are you saying to your players?
I like the team we have. I like the depth we have. And as great as we think James Harden is, we're going to keep our squad and see how it plays out.
Okay. You don't win with that team. Now what happens?
You didn't win with the team with James Harden. So it's irrelevant.
No. But okay. If you don't win with James Harden, that's on those guys. It's their responsibility. If you don't win with your guys, it's your responsibility.
That's okay. And we're in a better position moving forwards than we would have been having sacrificed all young players. And
here's the thing, when you become an executive, Bo, you understand, you and I aren't playing. Players play.
Yes.
Okay. And when the players blame people around them that's not playing, that's a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when Mo starts playing, you got a voice. See, Mo, you got a voice. When you're not playing and you're sitting in the executive suite, then you better be right. Because if you're not right, Mo, okay, it's only two people in this at the table that has the right to be wrong. It's the players and the owner. The coach and the executives, y'all can't do that. Because I can go get another coach and I can go get another executive. And when your players are going against the organization and whether it's passive aggressive, and they make a request, game over.
Okay, well, it's a lose-lose because if you listen to them, you lose because you sold all your depth and your future. And if you don't listen to them,
maybe that's why only one team that wins. Maybe that's why only one. Most finally caught on to the game.
All I'm saying is when I'm a GM, I ain't taking no orders from no one. It was my job to build a team. If you want to fire me, I'll walk right back into the media, and this podcast will have 100,000 new listeners.
You will never ever be. You won't be a GM then. It's not going to work because you have to build. You're building a team, and you have to deal with your owner. You're going to have to deal with the players, okay? And you're going to have to deal with your coach. And I can assure you, there's going to be a lot of problems. There are a lot of cooks in that kitchen. And when Mo says it's my job, next, then you know how they say next up? That's not how this game works. These guys that are sitting in that chair, they're masters at communicating and cooperating with people, because that's all you're doing. Because I can assure you that these players will have opinions. I can assure you your owner wants the results, and I can assure you your coach, who you know you got to fire, is not going to listen to you.
Well, maybe I'm gonna just have to bypass that step.
Mo thinks he's just going to sit, and then Mo thinks he's just going to come in and say, "This is my job," and I'm going to tell you guys, no, that's not how it works.
Maybe I'm going to have to just get rich and bypass that and just own the team instead. Who knows where we're going to go? But what we need to find out is where Kevin Durant is going to end up. BJ, do you have any inclination? You were pretty adamant that he was going to go to Phoenix. Now that DeAndre Ayton has signed a qualifying offer with the Indiana Pacers and then Phoenix matched it, he's ineligible to be traded until January now. So that kind of throws a span in the works of any deal involving DeAndre Ayton. So you were pretty adamant he was going to Phoenix. Do you still hold that belief, or do you think now Toronto, Miami, Boston, another team is more likely? Also, while I'm on that trail of thought, it is surprising to me, excuse me, those three teams in the Eastern Conference. Typically, when you see superstars get traded, they get as far away from the team trading them as you possibly can. So do you have any thoughts, and why is there not more Western Conference teams in the mix?
Normally, Mo, trades always happen at the 11th hour. It's July 20th. Just there's nothing going on. It's slow in the news media. And the reason that they brought this out at 3:30 in the morning, what, West Coast time, right? Is that what they brought it out?
Yeah.
Well, it's 8 hours ago. Okay, so that's at the top of the news day on the East Coast. So every show on the East Coast can have fun with this today on a Monday morning. So to me, your conspiracy was of New Zealand. My conspiracy is, oh, let's put it, make sure we get into the producers' hands before the 7 o'clock news cycle. And then they can talk about this all day on a Monday morning. That's the first thing I saw. Second, Sean Marks wants this out. Why? Because the team he probably knows he has to do a deal with, it gives him leverage now. We have options. 3, what happened today to me is the most important thing. Sean Marks leveraged the fact by saying, no, if you want me to do a deal, a negotiation doesn't start until someone says no. The fact that Sean Marks said no to the initial deal
reportedly
is telling everybody, reportedly, to me, is letting everybody know we have options. Now, put your best option up or don't call me. To me, it was business as usual. The things that I'm hearing and it's being reported is like, this is what to me makes Twitter fascinating and social media, is all of these things that have been happening for 50 years behind the scenes are suddenly now being played out in real time. But because most people don't understand or haven't been in negotiation, they don't know what to look for. Sean Marks said no.
Well,
which gives the appearance to me that he's in control. What Sean Marks also, when it was first reported about that Kevin Durant wanted to trade, it was also Sean Marks going to the media going, that's not the case, because he knows that he has to have some leverage in this negotiation. Danny Ainge is beating everyone to the punch. How can nothing come out of Utah, but everything is coming out about Brooklyn?
mm-hmm.
That's the difference between one guy understands how to beat the news cycle and the other guy is trying to put out the fires in the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that's going on.
Yeah.
So in the end, Danny Ainge has done exactly. There was a trade that happened that to me was one of the best trades that I've seen recently, and it was with Porzingis when he left the Knicks. Because everything is always coming out of New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sources say, say Porzingis was traded and not one person knew it. Not one person suspected it. He was traded, done. It was agreed to. And then people said, and then people reported that. Yep. So when I see these things being leaked, this is just a masterclass on how you do business.
Yeah. Well, this is the Celtics as well. Their last deals didn't get leaked. You know, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White.
Exactly.
They won't be leaked. But Brooklyn, everything leaks. Just how crazy insane is Jaylen Brown has just tweeted SMH. Shake my head. So he's clearly aware of what's going on and all that kind of thing. But we're going to have to see what happens. I hope that he doesn't get traded. I like the young core. And we're going to have to see what happens for the rest of this week. And probably
you like your core. You like your core. You should like your core. But Mo, you got to be in the game. You have to be. I'm not saying you do with the deal. I don't know what they're asking, and I'm not pretending to know. But you have to be in this game.
They are in this game. They were in the finals. They're more in the game than anyone else.
That was last year. You don't.
Okay.
You don't get a redo this year. That was last year.
You could trade for the guy who you swept out of the first round.
Absolutely. If that guy becomes available, we're
just going on reputation now, though. We're just going on reputation now.
If Kevin Durant becomes available and you don't at least accept the call, you're not doing your job.
Accept the call. I'm not giving up a defensive player of the year and our best player in the finals. No chance. But maybe that's why I'm not doing Brad Stevens' job. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to upload this episode now, and he'll probably get traded in like the 5 minutes it takes for me to edit. Upload it. So we're going to see.
Brad Stevens. Okay. Last thing, and then I'm going to let it go. Mo. The Miami Heat. The Miami Heat were in the conference finals. What? Game 7, right? They won game 7. Didn't they go 7? They won 7 last year. They won 7. So clearly everyone down there in Miami thinks if we were healthy, we would have won that series. Okay. That's what everyone says, right? Everyone says that, right? They're not conceding that Boston beat them.
Yeah, they think if Jimmy Butler's 3-pointer went in,
and then they're winning. And it very well could have been. Okay.
I mean, still 28 seconds on the clock. But.
And Mo, you have to always make sure that you are in every trade, every deal that's in the NBA. You want your name in there. Why? It's because every day the players, I love it when they tweet, they're in the gym grinding, hashtag striving for greatness. You know, all those things, right? You know all those things, right, Mo? Is it that what?
I see it. I know it.
Okay, you see it. Now, as an executive, Mo, here you got to learn something that Pat Riley and only a few of these guys know. Okay, now you're seeing San Antonio's name. Why do you always see Miami's name in every action?
Tell me.
Because Pat Riley understands you got to be in the game. You got to be in the game. You don't have to make every move, but you always want to be in the game because you never know where your luck is going to come from. If you're not in the game, you can't win the game. Just get yourself in the game. You don't do every deal. You can say, shake my head. But let me tell you something, Mo. If you want to mess up a team, just leap that you're talking to another team in a trade. Because while Jaylen Brown is saying, shake my head, he also could be saying, Brad, what's up with that, man? You trying to trade me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want me out? You could mess up another team. Mo, these guys are human. See, Brad Stevens right now has a problem because where there's smoke, there is fire. And when you're building these teams and when you keep hearing your name out there, today's youth, unlike yesterday's youth, they actually believe what's going on this social media. And let me assure you, Woj and Shams, they're talking to those players too.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me when I tell you this, Jaylen Brown and his agent, they've reached out to somebody in that meeting and said, hey, man, is this true or not? Because why would that guy report that, whoever reported it first, if he didn't have concrete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So all of this tough talk about what I would do, no, you're not going to do that because your players are talking to the same people. That's why it's important that when you do sit in that seat, because that's a hot seat, you better have a master's class in communication to know what it is. And everybody got to know how you do business. If not, you're going to have a master's class on how to fail. And that's not what you want to do. So Brad Stevens right now, he's going to have to do one of two things. Either put this out quickly, or maybe it has a little truth to it. Maybe someone on the other side just dropped a jewel that wasn't supposed to be dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But whatever the case may be, Mo, when they start reporting things like this in the end of July, something is going on, which something should be going on. But now that it's out there, Jaylen Brown now is going to have to make a decision. He's going to have to answer that question on day one if he comes back.
Yep.
Which could affect the entire team.
Well,
they tried to trade me.
He's been dealing with this forever, though. Like I said at the start of the show, talking about all of last season.
But Mo, at some point, if you're dealing with this forever, let me assure you, every team in the league wants a disgruntled star. What you don't want is a disgruntled star on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing we want, Mo, right now, they have beautiful chemistry. Things were working together. Udoka, terrific coach, everything is great. Now, Mo, here's a distraction. Jaylen, it was reported they tried to trade you last year. How do you feel about that? And the last thing, Mo, is you don't want anyone to confirming something that wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether Brad called or took the call was made. Doesn't matter who did it. If he's not taking that call, he's not doing his job.
Yeah.
If I call you right now, Mo, it's your job to take the call.
That's facts.
Now, one of the ways that executives do is sometime, Mo, here's an executive trick that you have to learn. And here's one of your tricks. And then, Mo, because I could go on for this for days. When you do get a call, so if I'm calling and I know my team is good and I love my team, let's say I love the Celtics. I'll lob in a call to Brad Stevens. Brad calls me back. Somehow it gets leaked that Brad Stevens was on the phone with Sean Marks. Okay. Then Brad Stevens can come out in mid-August and go, hey, we get calls all the time about all of our players. Hey, guys, if no one calls for you, that means you're probably going to be out of the league.
Yep.
Second, Jaylen Brown is the most coveted guy in the league. There's multiple teams calling. That's just the one that was reported. But let me tell you guys something here. We love Jaylen Brown, and he's not on. He won't be traded. Now, when you give your players that type of confidence, so now you're using the media. You're not lying to them. You're just making sure that your team knows we're here for business and what we're doing. Because the last thing you want is to say what people are saying right now. Oh, we're young. I love our young core. Let me tell you something. There's been a lot of great young cores. This business is about performance. And you want to make sure you keep your guys sharp. And that's what you do to keep them sharp. Now, if Brad Stevens is doing that, I'll be the first to applaud.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, he better have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, this thing could go one of two ways. It could go right or it could go left. But let me assure you, what they did last year is already in the books. Doesn't guarantee they're going to do it this year in the books, because teams in the NBA are getting better. And how are they getting better? They're improving their talent.
Yep.
So that's just one little trick. Maybe Brad's doing that. Brad's been around. He's been around now. Even though he's a young executive, that's what you do. If you want to send a message to your team, we love our team. Teams call all the time. But let me tell you guys, this is our team here. This is the Celtics. Now your fan base is fired up. Now the guys in the locker room is like, dang, Brad is, man, he believe in us like that. Now the coach is coming in. And you see what I'm saying? This isn't a bad thing that's happened. If you can't play under stress, then you probably can't play in the NBA. If your name is not in a trade, that means you're out of the league. If no one else wants you, why does the team that currently has you want you?
I hear it.
This could be a very, very good thing for the Celtics, because what you don't want is to rest on what you did last year. This is a new year. And as far as I know, maybe in somebody's dream, the Celtics did win a championship last year.
In my dreams,
the score
yes.
this year, Mo, is what? 0-0. As it always should be. There you go.
Okay. Well, that's another episode in the books. We're going to see tomorrow if any more news has been broken. We might have to re-record this if news does break minutes after we finish recording this. But
absolutely,
it's another week.
Absolutely.
We're going to be rocking with you every day, every morning. The Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K23. BJ Armstrong, Mo Moonsey. We over. We out.
I wish everyone can see you. I wish everyone could see you right now, Mo, because you know what? This trade is really hurting you right now.
Yes, it is. Leave my team alone. And on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
I can't believe you're not lit. You got